You all are getting ready for our big event. So today I thought we would talk about decision making and
Hello.
to try.
Yeah.
Hello. If you aren't muted, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Um, so anyway, we're going to talk about focusing on making some quick, confident, consistent decisions. So first of all, why does it matter? Why does decision-making process matter? Well, because we want to make the best decisions that we can, and that every decision that we make impacts our guests, our team, and the speed and quality of which we deliver our service. So that's what we do every day, and that's why it's so important. It's important in our everyday life as well. We have a lot of different decisions that we make throughout um, our work. We're going to focus on our work life, but we make operational decisions, make decisions about our people, our team, guest recovery when things don't go right, and financial decisions as well. So when we categorize those and we kind of look at those into uh, really important factors, what needs the speed and clarity, then, it helps us decide what we need to accomplish. So, few little things here to discuss, but when you're short a cook during the dinner rush, what's your first move? Anyone?
You can either call and see if anybody can come in, or, we would just jump in and help if we could.
Right. That's normally the first go-to. Thank you. But, sometimes you got to look at the staffing adjustment. Are you going to get in there? But, who could you move into that area? Um, who could you just help out? You don't want to get stuck in that area. And, who's your leadership in that department where you can have good communication and kind of get them to be a part of that and to increase their skill levels and kind of help you out when things kind of don't go right, which we that happens to us. So we're always hoping that our staffing is getting just a little bit better. Thanks. I think that was Evelyn. Thanks, Evelyn. I'm getting used to your voice. Um, this is just a small model, 3 steps to use in the process to assess, decide, and then act. So, we don't always think about these steps when we're actually decision making, but it's a process which we almost do naturally. So you don't think about it, but these are the important steps to take. When you're assessing, when you don't have time to do a spreadsheet, you can't get, every last detail. But it's really important to gather as many facts as you can so you really know what is happening. Um, sometimes you can quickly get in and you don't have information and that impacts your decision. Who's going to be affected by it and what type of urgency does it have? Now, Tammy used to do that time management matrix, and we used to have the boxes, what was critically important and urgent. That's what gets your first attention. I'm going a little too far. So step 2 is our decide. So what are we make decisions? First, we're guest first focused. So we have to look at that and what is best for our guest. We want to follow standards. We want to be consistent in making our guests happy. And then, we want to use our experiences. What feels like the right thing to do? We normally know that. We want to use policy and our best judgment and do what you think is the best thing that you can absolutely do. So if server double sat and falling behind, what are you going to do?
You can help get the drink for the table and tell the server have a chance to go.
Thanks, Toffer. Yes, actually, there's several things that you could do. A couple of things to think about, just give a skip, get in there, help out, deliver food, bus some tables, pre-bus tables, get the drinks maybe. But, do be careful with that. Sometimes if servers have a rhythm and if it gets to be confusing or chaotic, it doesn't really save any time or really help out in the end. And we want to really take care of our guests in the best way. So just keep it in mind. So step 3 is act. So what do we want to do? The execution is really critical. We want to have clear communication and we need to take responsibility, make sure of the outcome. Some of the common mistakes that we can make are we wait too long to do. If we procrastinate, it usually makes things worse. Sometimes we don't like to jump in there and take care of things, but we need to make the decision as best we can when we need to. Avoiding the tough calls because sometimes it's just uncomfortable. Sometimes we just don't have the experience level. Normally that becomes better once you get some more experience. Overthinking. I say this is a trap, I'm one of the people that gets into an overthinking mode, and that's really not good. It just really taxes you, and doesn't let you come up with the best outcome. So try not to do that. Speed matters sometimes when you're making decisions. We don't always have the time that we, would like to have in taking care of things. So when we have ticket times that are hitting 20 plus, we know what our gas time is. What kind of decisions do you make?
You're gonna put a hold on.
Gotta put a hold on. Yes, we might do that. Yeah, we're gonna put maybe a wait. We're gonna go on a wait. Give the line some support. Really communicate with the entire restaurant what's going on because that's important. Have the best organization you can. Make sure that your kitchen has the resources and the tools that they need to do their job. So you got to check on all of these types of things because what happens if you don't give it attention, that ticket time just keeps on rising, right? And then you really get in the weeds and you really, really have an issue. So you want to keep your eye on that and you want to keep, put that plan into place. So sometimes we actually have things that don't go right. I know that's really hard. You don't ever have that happen. Just kidding. But what we want to do is we need to think about the guest. We need to apologize. We need to give it a fix. And, the old adage, we want to underpromise and overdeliver. Definitely, we want to do that with our guests so that they have the best experience that they can and that they keep coming back to us. So it's pretty simple in the steps, but prioritizing our guests is a number one. Remember, guest first, guest first. So, if a guest is upset about cold food, what all are you going to do?
I'm going to go over to the table and apologize to them for the cold food, offer them a fresh meal.
Absolutely. Be empathetic, right? Listen. Sincerely apologize, kind of take ownership of that. I think that we need to, sometimes we have so many things going on, and I think we're all guilty of this, whether we're at a management level or an employee level. But getting there and like speaking to the guest in the right way, watching our body language so we come off as sincere and not as, that quick response that makes the guest feel like we're just kind of going through the motions and that they don't matter. Definitely makes a difference in their experience. So we ask them what they would like, what we can do to take care of that. And then we need to follow up, right? Managers, I hope that you're going to the tables and you're making sure that they're not leaving the building before you talk to them to make sure that everything was correct and that they're happy. Okay, when we make people decisions, we have this going too. We're not only responsible for those guests, but we also are responsible for our team. So we need to coach them. If something's going on, we need to be fair. We need to be consistent. Absolutely. And we need to address things as quickly as we can as they're going on, and then maybe talk about some of those things later on, after the rush or after the shift. So if we have this scenario, two team members arguing on shift. Oh, excuse me. Who wants to take this one? Don't be shy. You guys have been doing so well. I'm so excited.
I mean, for me, Pam, what I would personally do is, I would separate them, let them take some time, and then talk with them individually and figure out how we can move forward. And then if not, if depending on the situation, maybe one of them has to go home. I don't know.
That's true. And this is not like there's no detail here, so I agree. That's where I would go is separate them to make sure that we don't have the issue going on during the shift. We don't want to disrupt the team. We don't want to disrupt our guests. Refocus on the guest, get the job done, make sure they understand what needs to be done. I would discuss it afterwards too. And, then you can decide if there needs to be any type of disciplinary action. So, exactly. Thank you. Going too fast here. I'm using my mouse. I'm not used to it. So we also have operational decisions that we make every single day. I know adjust staffing is number one there, and it's what I feel that you do every day or you do the most of. We need to make real-time adjustments. That's key in making operational decisions. So we got to manage the flow of business, make sure things are going in a timely manner. We have to have speed and quality. So we have 3 issues going on at once: long wait, upset guests, and short staff. So what's your prioritization to this type of thing when you have multiple things going on? What are we going to do first?
I think we need to take care of the customer first, and then we can deal with the other problem later.
Yeah, I think that we said guests first. So we want to take care of that issue first. I think that, you could guide a wait on your way to the table to talk to that person. So you might be able to multitask here to get things done. Just, in the proximity of where you are to make sure that, nothing else is going on. Then go to the guests, make sure that they're happy. Then look at your departments and see what you need to do, what type of changes or actions that you need to take. Okay, so how do we gain confidence when we're making decisions? Well, normally what this does, your confidence is going to grow through the actions that you take, things that you learn, the experiences that you have, and never be afraid, that you have that supervisor or someone, in your world that you can bounce something off of and just say, hey, have you dealt with this? What would be the way you would handle it? And you can always learn something from that. And we always watch people around us to find out what are the really good things that we like, that we might want to adopt, and things that we might hear that we don't. We definitely don't. We think it's something, I think that happens a lot when you're listening to someone handle a guest, and sometimes the words just don't come out right. And it's something you learn, hey, that's something I don't want to do. You want to be very professional and watch that body language, like I said. So when we just going to review what we've been talking about, but the 3 steps: we assess, we decide, and we act. We've got to be guests first all the time, and we want to be consistent with our actions. Strong decisions equals strong leadership. So your team's going to judge you. They're going to start trusting you by your actions. They watch what you do. If you ever hear, I always say, actions speak louder than words. I think that rings true because they're looking to you for that leadership. So that's going to grow. So they want to trust you. That makes leadership good, is having the trust with your team. So just remember, strong decisions make strong leadership. So what makes good decisions versus great decisions? Good decisions, they fix the issue, and they're good, and you need to do that. It's important. But in the category of great decisions or better decisions would be that you're going to give the best experience, and you're going to build your team also in the process. So you're really thinking about the bigger picture when you're making those decisions instead of just kind of getting that quick fix on the problem. So when we're coaching, this is just a little model that helps you build critical thinking and some of your confidence level, what we talk about. So, just ask what would you do, why, and what's the risk? We want to always mitigate the risk. Make it the best experience, make it as simple as you can. Don't overcomplicate it, overthink it. And what we talked about before helps you make the better decision. Okay, so we have some food in the window. What are we doing?
Running the food.
Yeah. But you always think about yourself being in that position. You're going to do that because you're going to do what you need to do. But also, just kind of pulling in those servers or hosts and getting some help so you don't get stuck in that area. We got to make sure that food is quality. If it's been sitting there, making sure everything is quality before it gets served to the guest. And then making sure that we kind of have that coachable, teachable moment after the shift. Like, hey guys, we got to keep, this is just a part of it. We got teamwork, we have FIFO. We need to keep this in mind. So we make sure that we're serving hot, fresh food to the guests. So it's a process of what we do, but every once in a while, it may go to the wayside or somebody gets too busy in what they think and they don't take something with them as they go in and out. So yeah, definitely. But you guys always step in, do the right thing. So what if we have it's not my table? The guest was ignored by the team.
Well, myself as a manager, I would go over there and I would take care of the table and then speak to my employees after the fact because I don't want the customer being upset.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So not long ago, and this is part of why I kind of used this, was we did have an ovation comment that the guest said they came in, they sat for 15 minutes. No one came to them, no one took care of them, and they left. So, we have a 5-foot rule. So there's a lot of people in the restaurant that could have said, hi, may I help you? Or has somebody been with you yet? May I start you off with some drinks, whatever that might be. Do I think that it was 15 minutes? No, because like when the guest is sitting there, their perception of 15 minutes is not the server or the manager perception of 15 minutes. I know that. So, that's a big window, but there's a reality, but it's still too long. We always say 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes to greet the table, but that's a very long time. If you ever put your phone's timer on 2 minutes, it seems like forever. I stood up front waiting in one of the restaurants and I let the manager know that. And he said, Pam, was it really 5 minutes? I said, no, because I didn't time it all, but it felt like 5 minutes. But and the reality was it was probably less. And, we all came to that was a pretty fair assumption. So just thinking of that, step in, take care of things, with your team, you need to reinforce the culture of we got to get to these guests. This is why we're here. We need to take care of them. We want them to come back. So we have a strong performer with bad attitude. What if you have a strong performer that's negative?
I mean, I guess I'll answer again. I mean, for me, I would actually pull them aside and talk to them and see like what's going on. And if it's like that bad, then I would probably send them home. If we couldn't figure out the situation or trying to encourage or fix whatever the problem was. But yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think you need to address it immediately, pull it aside. And if it's someone who that's normally doesn't happen to, you usually can talk with them after and really find out what's going on, like you said, and think if it's a situation where they're better off not to be there, or if they can understand the expectation, pull it together. We need to be consistent, but top performers, that are negative, anybody negative in the store has a tendency to pull down the morale. So, yeah, we want to address it right away. Just make sure that we're consistent with the employees again. Okay, so the guest is eating the wrong item. Somebody but Heather's taking this one. Who's there from Bedford? No one. Cranberry? Who's okay? Who's talking?
It's Trisha from Cranberry. I can answer this one. If the
Okay.
guest is if they're eating the wrong item, I'd probably go over. I'd be honest with them. I would just let them know that they were accidentally served the wrong meal. Ask them if they're okay with it. If they're okay with it, then I would probably still comp their meal because it was our fault. And if they're not okay with it, then I would definitely get them what they wanted.
Yeah, true. And you have two issues here, right? Because you went over to the table who got the wrong food. I always kind of chuckle because the servers always say the guests never remember what they ordered, and come out and talk. But so you also have a table who's waiting for their food, who's probably not getting it because the wrong table got it. So you really have two separate items to take care of here. But you were right. I love the fact that you said, it's our fault. We need to make that right. So go ahead and, comp that meal. Want to make sure that they're happy and they understand. They may be fine with the meal and they eat it. That would be good for you. Kind of move on, make it right with the other table. Thank you. Good communication in the kitchen too, to make sure to get that out. Make sure everybody knows on that last one too, servers, kitchen, and everybody involved. Okay, so we have priority again. We have a call off, complaint, and a delay. Just another day in the life, right? What are we gonna do? What's the first one?
The
Complaint.
customer complaint. Yes, Heather.
Yeah. Customer complaint. We want to take care of our guests first. We want to make sure that things are going smoothly. And then we're going to go to food, and then we're going to go to staffing. Okay, here's one for the team. What do we do when we have inconsistencies in the management team? And one of the managers or a couple of them, we do things different ways, allowing some shortcuts. What are we going to do there?
I like to do Haas's way, not manager way.
Okay. So we have someone else, another manager on the team. It's really important for the team to be cohesive and be on the same page, because if not, that makes a struggle with the team. And so your crew then doesn't know what to do. And if they're getting different messages from different managers. Also, unfortunately, if a manager understands what the expectation is of their management team or their GM, and then they choose not to, that's a whole different level there. So we want to make sure that managers are on the same page. Manager meetings are a great place to, talk about expectations, talk about things that are going on. So we make sure that we are consistent in what we are doing, that we're consistent with the team and the employees, so that you're getting consistency and they're doing the job right to make things overall easier in the store. And now, anytime that there's miscommunication, employees, I think, kind of don't know what to do. So they just either do what they think is best or they don't do much of anything at all. So we want to make it easier for everyone on the store level to work and be consistent. So be on the same page, have good communication, use your manager meetings. So what if we could energy drop, but a lot of times this is, at the end of the night, but it could be also a shift change coming in and out when things aren't really getting done. People are running out at the end of the night. They want to get out. They want to go home. So what are we doing there?
I think at least in our store, and I guess me in particular too, whenever we're closing and there's an energy drop, I will kind of just go around and help them close. Like if I'm not super busy or if I don't have anything to do in that time, I'll just kind of stop by in every area and help them close and get going.
Okay. And that's very nice of you to do, but you have a lot to do at the end of the night as well. So, some of the things that I do see in some of my visits, if I go in the morning on an open and I start to look around the dining room, I will see things that weren't done. Unfortunately, I'll ask who is the closing manager. Sometimes it's the same one, but we should be always setting the next shift up for success. So, please make sure that when you're doing that, our policy is that we have closing servers. Those closing servers should be initialing the audits. So when you get them, you know that they've done their side work and they've done their sections and that they're cleaned up. At the end of the night, then, when closing servers are ready to go, you go out, take a quick walk, make sure everything's done. If something isn't, then the closing server has that responsibility to actually get it done to help you out. Nothing wrong with helping your team. Please don't get me wrong, but also your team's there and they have to know the expectation consistently to do those things to help the team. It's not really your job to do their job. And it goes in every area. Back of the house, are they doing the cleaning items? Are we just checking them out so that when they come in the morning, they're ready to go? Dish, it's their speed. They get hit hard at the end of the night. So we have to kind of maybe help them out or maybe check what they're doing to make sure that they're focused on keeping everything running through. So you're not there. So it's coaching, training, cross training. I always say trust but verify. That will help you stay consistent. Okay, we have a new hire, slow in the kitchen. What are you going to do? Who's up? Where's Bedford? You on? Keep seeing ya. Okay. Well, one thing and why I put this up here is I think that what you're going to say again is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help the line. But what I wanted you to do is to think about this in a little bit different way. You have a new hire that's there. So, we want to make sure that we don't make that new employee feel inadequate. We want to make sure that we step in and maybe step in with them and help them one-on-one so they kind of get teaching and are still part of the process. I know sometimes it's really hard when you're in the thick of it and you're busy because you want to kind of move them and you want to get in there and get it done. Make sure everything's going out the right way. You can still do that, but after two, make sure that you talk to them, you reassure them, and tell them that the expectation isn't for them to be to that level, but they'll get there and you're there to help them. So we get new good hires and we keep them. We want to be sure that we're talking to them in the right way. So I think that that is just a point that I wanted to make and why I put this in here. Okay. So something else that I wanted to talk about, we're coming up on our Super Bowl. Actually, this can apply at any time, anywhere. But I was out looking at what a great job you guys have been doing in the stores. They're looking really good for Mother's Day. But what decisions are we making for this Super Bowl, this great day that we have, this busiest day of the year for us, where we're really making that good impression with our guests? Are we talking to our crew all week about the expectations, what should happen in every area? We want everything to run as smoothly as possible. It's a time when we're busy and we can have a lot of fun. I mean, I think that's some of the funnest part of our job is when we're busy and we're with people and we can talk to them and really enjoy. They're with families, they want to treat mom and they're going to be out. They're going to be not in a hurry, let's say. If we have a wait out front, are we making, lemonade or flavored teas? Are we giving them a sample of beverages? Are our greeters able to talk to them, make small talk with the guests, be nice, be friendly, talk to kids, give them some coloring sheets if they have room that they can even do that. But just kind of keep everybody busy. It makes that time go faster. The servers. This is a time when they're ordering meals, they want to relax, they're going to do probably some starters, they're going to enjoy their meals, they want additional items with their meal, they're out to celebrate, and they're going to spend a little more money. So this is your opportunity to suggest and make things sound great. Make them sound so delicious that they want to have it. They're not going to say no. with all areas, you know, our salad bar, do we have enough people that we can keep everything full and clean and fresh? Those are the things. We're going to have a lot of people in and out. It's very difficult to keep up with. Our kitchen, making sure plate presentation is great because we, guests eat with, their eyes first, we say. So is the doneness right? Is the seasoning right? Are they really going to enjoy that meal? Is everything on there the way it's supposed to be? We have dish, that's speed again. They've got to keep up with that. Clean dishes. Clean means clean and dry on the salad bar, clean and dry in the kitchen. So just want to make sure that everyone is actually doing that. We do special things on that day too. Like, are we having our staff bring in things? Are we getting food in so they have something to eat because everybody works Mother's Day? Making sure hands full in and out. That's always a concept we went by. Everybody helping each other and making sure that it's going to be a great day. So think about those decisions that you're making now and keep them going so you have the best day that you can possibly have. Anyone have any questions? Want to kind of keep you guys on track, and I could probably go off a little bit more on this, but I just want to make sure, give yourself some grace in making decisions, but grow, learn from your experiences, and ask for help. So I hope you all have the best Mother's Day. Have a great rest of your week. Call me if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.